Pretty good.
Oh, brother, I've been playing that there Elden Ring.
What
I
is
get, I get,
sorry, Elden Ring?
yeah,
What
Elden
is that?
Ring.
What
I think it's
is
like a
that?
video game.
Okay. So I'm not much of a gamer. So can It's you? actually a drug that just hit the streets recently.
Oh,
Okay. So not a video game, more of a hallucinatory experience. That you is this like just by yourself, or do you get in a group and do this? Like what's the
well,
deal?
Crossley does. He goes and he jokes Elden Ring
Uh huh.
for
Wait, I do
hours on
what?
end.
Uh huh.
You joke Elden Ring for hours on end.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I'm
He
familiar.
knows what I mean. Now he's playing dumb. This is
No,
silly.
I literally don't.
Wait,
I
how?
encourage everyone at home to not Google what jelqing is, and let's move on. We're back. Welcome. Um, you're listening to the Infinite Scale podcast. It's supposedly about video games, um, with a minor focus on jelqing. I'm your host, William Chandler, joined as always by Chris Crossley and Christopher Merced. Um, I think we shouldn't bury the lead here. I mean, we could probably talk about this for the entire time. We may. It is happy Elden Ring DLC release day to you all if you're celebrating. Um, that is not today, by the way. It's been was it been like a week?
I guess a
Yeah.
week and a half now, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel
Or
like I
no, about a
finished
week. I think a
about
week
a week.
exactly, right? As of
Damn,
yesterday. Yeah. Was it Friday?
it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Elden Ring's DLC Shadow of the Erdtree came out. Um basically to, I would say, complete and total critical acclaim and fanfare. I mean, just about everyone on earth is playing this fucking thing right now. Um it's crazy. It's really crazy. Elden Ring was a very popular game, very loved, and the DLC basically seems to be right up there with it. Um, I'm ignoring almost completely the "it's too hard" discourse.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
yeah.
almost intentionally so.
Why is that?
Because
I mean, we can touch on it, but I feel like we're all aligned. So what's the point?
Yeah, I think we are for sure.
yeah, I mean, I think the "it's too hard" discourse springs entirely from the fact that none of these people have played any other Souls games. That's the only thing I could assume, because if anything, fine, we're just gonna have to talk about it. Okay, let's save it. Let's save it for a little bit later. So Shadow of the Erdtree, it's what would you guys say? It's about maybe a third of the length of Elden Ring.
I'd say that's fair. If not, I was seeing a few people say that it took them like 60 hours. So, like, some people were hitting the 50 to 60 hour mark on the DLC.
Can I
It's kind of
see?
crazy.
Can I just see what my hour count is in just the DLC
And
part?
just the Erdtree? I don't think so.
Well, because isn't there a way on Steam to see how much you've played just in the last couple of weeks or something?
Oh, yeah, true.
Can you guys someone go look at my Steam profile and say how much it says I've played recently, because it won't tell me.
Let's see.
But Shadow of the Erdtree came out. Critically, everyone loved it.
Oh,
Pre-release.
it only shows It shows your total across all games in the past 2 weeks.
Really? Fuck, that
Yeah,
sucks.
it says 23 for Helldivers, Lunacid, and Elden Ring.
Just go to the Elden Ring page and then look at friends who play. It should say it because it says so for you. It says you've played 65 hours recently, but I know that you also went on to do the rest of the game on PC, right? Because you had originally played Elden Ring.
Yeah, I wiped all that shit out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't have the achievements from the ones that I had on PS5 and it was bugging me.
Yeah. So if this is your first time tuning in, you probably don't have quite an understanding of just how much Crossley and I love every single FromSoft game except for Sekiro, which is not a FromSoft game, so it's fine. It's not a real Souls game, you know.
I disavow.
But we did an entire 2-parter on just the base game. And I think, you know, if you go back and listen to that, our impression of Elden Ring as a whole was really complete awe in just the size of it and the scope of it. And overall, a really high impression of the quality of the content, despite just how much of it there is, right? Like it's a long game. There's a lot of repeated stuff, but really the bar for quality in such a huge game is just massively high, which is insane. Crossley, have you changed your opinion on the base game at all since launch?
No. I think we had talked about this back then, or at least at some point I know we have, but I had played many times, like through the New Game Pluses, but only just recently have I actually played it again, like from scratch on a new character, and really like took it all in fresh again, like after having not played for a bit. And yeah, I literally did like the same thing I did on release, and I just got lost in the whole fucking world again, and it was a blast. I mean, I love base game Elden Ring. It's so fucking great. I think it's crazy too how much of that game like is optional basically. Like now that I know what the main path is like to a T, just like getting lost in all the world again and being like, damn, like I don't have to do any of this. It's like the two fucking dudes at the first like couple castles before Liurnia or whatever, and then
I don't even think you have to do them, do you?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can skip them. You're right, but well, you do technically have to kill a certain number of the special characters to be able to progress at some point. Yeah. But yeah, that aside, you're right. You can skip them. So it's just like you basically do that, and then you can. It's just crazy. I don't know. I don't need to like open up that, but it is wild how much of the main path is like this basically, and then there's just all this other content that you engage with instead, and it's just awesome. I love it. And the DLC, is crazy. I love it so much. I love it so much.
Before we really get there, Merced, you are a base game Elden Ring hater.
Yes.
You and I talked. I think this was yesterday or the day before. I think this was the day before. You and I talked at length. Yesterday. About you rank Elden Ring base game as the worst FromSoft game, which is insane because the worst Souls game, I should say, which is insane because Sekiro exists. So, but
you have no taste.
So
you have none.
So you I'm, by the way, memeing completely. Sekiro is not a bad game. It's my least favorite for sure. But Elden Ring is your least favorite Souls game as well. You have a lot of problems with it. Do you want to quickly go through just a brief impression of it before we get to the DLC and
of the base game?
The reason we're doing this is pretty obvious because I think, just to give it away up front, I think the DLC is ostensibly, in my opinion, the version of Elden Ring they kind of wanted to make. Really, I mean, obviously an extension, obviously to make something, you get all the lessons that you learned from making something in the new thing, right? So it makes
Yeah.
sense. But like there is clear signs that this DLC is just honed in such a way. It includes a lot of the extra content in the base game, but really in general, I would say refines that stuff to a point where it feels more meaningful in this experience than it did in that experience. But okay, Merced, give us your base game opinion.
So I guess really quick, the main thing that I absolutely despised, and I actually still despise, about the base game Elden Ring is that I feel as though it betrayed probably one of the greatest aspects of From Software that set them apart from almost any other game developer, which is their like next level map design. Next level map design and their almost intuitive direction. They're known for like their incredibly vague quest lines, and the only reason that those ever even worked in the first place is because of the intuitive direction of their map design that allowed you to somehow make it to where FromSoft wanted you to go in order to do the things that you needed to do in order to complete the game. And I think that the open world style just completely betrays everything that made their games incredibly good, set them apart from the rest of other developers. And I mean, it's just the fact is that the quests themselves are absolutely too vague. And the map design is far too open with way too much dead space, to the point where I would say like maybe a 30 maybe 20% actually of the base game is usable space, in the sense that you're actually going to be able to fight things that are meaningful, gain items that are impactful for you as a player, or gain any sort of understanding of the world as a player. And the rest of it is essentially just like dead space, fluff, reused assets, reused enemies that you've already seen, or you gain an item that is completely fucking useless for 90% of the player base, unless they really, really enjoy crafting like really niche item that can be used one time for one specific situation. So I just think overall it wasn't the design that I actually enjoyed from soft games for, and because of that, it's just I find it to be complete slop. The actual good parts of that game are all the components that they had already created prior. They just made the combat tighter, which is great. They expanded on all older styles of weapons, which is awesome. I think I would say that FromSoft, like the base game, even just the base game alone, probably has a greater build variety than all the other FromSoft games, and 99% of games in general.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
like that creativity is awesome, but the base game
it's
is not good.
I think it's total freedom. It's funny that this game never took off really in terms of PvP in the way that like Bloodborne did, because
Well, why do you say that?
I just mean like the amount of like PvP content that you saw online around release, around games like Bloodborne and early Dark Souls, like 1, 2, even 3 to some extent. It felt like a lot of people were really into the PvP scene in those games in a way that hasn't really been replicated in Elden Ring. I know they did the Colosseum update, but I think that came too late.
I think maybe you're just not getting exposed to it. I think it's
Maybe
more than it ever has been in the series.
Yeah, maybe. It felt like a greater, and maybe it's just that a greater portion of the audience back then was more into it, whereas now you have so many people flocking to Elden Ring, they're more into the PvE and the story stuff, and getting into that kind of analysis. But I don't know, that's just my perception. But the only reason I say that is because I think I agree with Merced that the build variety is immense, and the freedom sense can sometimes be suffocating, right? It's like there's too much going on, there's too much to do, there's too much open space. But the main thing I think where we disagree is, Merced like says dead space derogatory, right? And for me it's like dead space like it's dead space for the Xbox 360. No, it's like just a tone piece. So much time is spent wandering around and soaking in the environment and soaking in the world that kind of absorbs you into the lands between in a way where it gets your head kind of involved in the space, right? It's like there's so many highs, and then there's a lot of just really quiet meandering. And I think that is nice. I like that they do that, and I think they do it in the DLC as well. But it feels like the tightness of the DLC is a benefit overall. Like the tightness of the package, just how much time you spend in the game, the ratios work better in the DLC than they do in the base game, in my opinion. So I think the DLC is like just the next step along that evolution where, okay, this is kind of what they had in mind when they were making the base game.
Right.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think I honestly wouldn't, because like my personal favorite game of all time is Shadow of the Colossus. I don't think any of that is Dead Space. Not to me. I don't know if anyone's played Shadow of the Colossus, you know that like literally there is nothing to fucking do in that game other than go from Colossus to Colossus and kill them. The rest is actually soaking in the world that the developers created for you.
So why are you unable to do that in Elden Ring? I don't understand. Because the level design is really good. Their map design and the way the fucking world is layered on top of itself, and you can go from one place to another without any crazy teleporting chests, is crazy. It is so impressive, and it's like masterwork fucking game design, dude. Just speaking
about I don't think teleporting someone to another location.
I'm saying I think ignoring that. I'm literally saying ignoring the teleporting stuff. Just the way the map is stacked on top of itself is insane to me. It's crazy. It's so good.
Is it?
Yes, bro. Yes.
Yeah,
if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I feel like you haven't fully explored the fucking game.
Wait, are you just talking about like Mohg's Palace and like the like Nokron and like all that shit and just, like the Ansel River? And
they do it in the DLC too. The way in which all of the areas randomly intersect with each other in extremely natural seeming ways. How there's
in the DLC, yeah, for sure.
In the base game too, there's like 3 or 4 entrances
in the DLC,
to
but
every.
They do it in the base game.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 entrances to every major area that you could really stumble into them in any one, I mean, a lot of like, okay, does it always work out that way? No, because a lot of people end up finding Safra the same way, right? Which is in the Rune Bear Forest. They go into the elevator and go down and find it. That usually is going to be the way that most people find it. But if you were a nut job, you could go to Caelid and find it through that canyon down there or whatever. I mean, there's like 5 or so different ways. Yeah. And the funny thing is maybe you initially find it in the Rune Bear Forest, and then you're like, I'll do this later. This is freaking me out. And then you end up finding it again another way. That shit just opens your brain up in a way that is kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's like this recent playthrough for me is what really confirmed how I feel about it, because I kind of tried to tackle the game from a different approach than I have before, and it's what really fucking opened my mind to the like, holy shit, I did not know I could even get to this place from this way, or do X thing in X time and all this other stuff. It's just like there is, yeah, I think it's insane. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it is interesting. I mean, we all have kind of pretty natural reactions to things in ways that can't be, like you can't be consistent about everything, but I feel like Elden Ring and Shadow of the Colossus in that way are of a kind, in my opinion. Like there is a level of similarity.
I think I would be able to soak in the world of Elden Ring a lot better if there wasn't like a million things that were betraying that aspect. Like you're saying like, oh, but it's so you can like soak in the world and like now you can like take in the scenery and all of that kind of stuff. And it's just like it allows you to have like a greater amount of immersion. It's like, yeah, I can 100% understand that because Shadow of the Colossus is my favorite game, but they're betraying themselves every step of the way. And whenever they're crafting this world, if every single like 20 feet you have either a random ass fucking monster that's going to try to fight you, you have another cookie cutter dungeon that's just reusing assets over and over again, you have another little fucking thing, whatever those little circular pads are that summon a random boss. Like these things are betraying that design philosophy of like, let's get you immersed in the world so that you can soak it in and like be in awe and like wonder about it and like really crave the lore. And it's like when every 20 feet like they're giving you like some random like little tiny like pitter patter of content. It's just like you don't need that. Like it's not necessary. And it's like, to me at least, it's like you're almost not confident in yourself to create this world, because you're just constantly feeding the player all this random shit. It's like it's not necessary whatsoever, because they've crafted this beautiful world, but it feels like they didn't have the confidence to allow the player to just soak it in themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's
I guess it's just a difference of perception, dude.
I mean,
like for me,
people view that stuff as the reward, honestly. I mean, that's the reward for exploration, is getting more content out of the game, right? I mean, that's most people who are playing this game are like, I'm meandering around and then there's a fucking dungeon here. What? You know, like that's the thing that people are looking for, is they want to have kind of some kind of reason to peer into the darkest corners and the, you know, random locations. But I think for what it's worth, I completely agree with you. It just doesn't harm the game in my eyes as much as it does for you.
I think that these factors are just detracting in completely different, like, you know, magnitudes for the both of us.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what I'm trying to get across, is like, it's like in Shadow of the Colossus, I'm totally okay with it just because of the way it's presented, and like, I don't know, that aspect of it where all you can do is just wonder. Like, there's like all these ruins and shit that you're going through, and like you're trying to basically piece together the story by yourself. And it's an uninterrupted flow of and you can be like, oh my god, but they do it in Elden Ring. No, they want you to not think about that. They don't want you to think about that. What they want you to do is, it's like, okay, oh my god, we need him to pick up this cookbook. He has to pick up this cookbook. He can't think for a moment. What's gonna happen if he thinks? We need to have a monster around this corner. What's gonna happen? No, it's like, literally, it's like they don't have any confidence in you being able to think about it. They just want you to just... I can't even explain that in a better way. How can I possibly explain that in a better way?
So let me fucking speak, sir. So how do they not want me to have a moment of wonder when I'm, let's say, in Liurnia, the fucking lake area, and then there's a fucking random ass spot of whatever the fuck, who knows, who cares, trees, bushes, I don't fucking know, with a body there, and around the body is a certain type of enemy that's from Caelid. And then you're like, well, that's fucking weird. Yeah, it's just a random enemy that I've seen like a million times, but it's from Caelid and it's here in Liurnia. What's the item? Sure, maybe it's a cookbook, but then it's like the Dung Eater's cookbook, and you're like, wait, why is that here? Why are these Caelid enemies in Liurnia around a fucking dead body with a Dung Eater's cookbook? Like, you know, that's the type of shit that makes you wonder. And if you give a fuck about the lore at all, which is, you know, I would assume people do, right? So it's the same thing to me. It's not just dead space. The dungeons, I will say, trash, dog shit, F tier, worst part of the game, extremely cookie cutter, 90% of the time not worth it. Every now and then you'll get something cool, but worst part of the game.
But that's why I didn't use that as an example.
Yeah. So dungeons I was just assuming you were about to go there. So dungeons notwithstanding, the base game and the open world, just all the shit, regardless if it's a fucking enemy that's in the fucking game a million times, like, there is some really intentional placement of things that, I mean, I don't know. If you're not into it, you're not into it, but I am into it. I love finding the fucking Dung Eater's fucking book in a random pile of mud. Like,
the lore stuff is cool and it works really, really well, but that's not what like the 90% is that I'm talking about of like the dead space is. Whenever like in most of these dungeons, you're not gaining any sort of lore value. You're not
talking about the dungeons.
See what I'm saying is like we're literally talking past each other now, because all you're thinking about is like this like random obscure item that you found on the path, and then you were like, oh yeah, it makes you wonder about the lore. Yes, of course that does. That's why I didn't use it as an example. That's not an example that I'm using.
And I'm saying the open world is that pretty much all the time. The dungeons are trash. Facts. The open world though is what I'm talking about.
There's no shot. I would want to give you a crayon, and I would want to give you the Elden Ring map, and I would want you to circle every single portion of the map that is lore relevant.
Okay. Yeah, I would spend like the rest of my life fucking connecting dots, like fucking contradictions in the fucking Bible, Merced. I'm not going to do that. But
I don't even think the dungeons are trash, if I'm being honest. I just think that there's too many of them. That is as deep as that goes for me.
Well, I mean, it's like there's like what 4 to 5, maybe 6 dungeon types that they reuse about 100 times. So yeah, that's the issue. It's like, oh, okay. Once you find a different kind of dungeon type for the first time, you're like, oh fuck yeah, a different one. And then once you finally find one that's a cool reward, you're like, oh fuck yeah, dude.
I think
it's just
you and I had this.
Way too many.
We had this conversation probably in the podcast at launch, but the dungeons to me feel like them trying to bring what was the mechanic where you would go into a random dungeon in Bloodborne?
Chalice dungeons.
What was it called?
The Chalice dungeons?
Chalice dungeons, that's it. Yeah. It reminded me of bringing Chalice dungeons just in and integrating them better into the world, as opposed to, because the Chalice dungeon system, by the way, was really the actual end game, right? But you needed to be doing it throughout the entire game of Bloodborne in order to make that stuff make sense. You needed to be revisiting the Chalice dungeons every so often and getting to the deeper and deeper floors kind of in a parallel pace with your progress through the game. The reality is no one fucking knew how the system worked, and no one did that. So what happens is you ended up with an end game level character doing the level 1 Chalice dungeons, which were mind-numbingly boring. And then just to get to the harder boss fights in those dungeons, which is where the true end game kind of test stuff is, right? The dungeons, the side content in Elden Ring base game and in the DLC, to me, are literally them going, let's just put the Chalice dungeons in the regular game. You'll find them at the normal pace, you'll be properly leveled, and it will be kind of quote-unquote repeatable content that is at least a little bit different in a better way than it was in the Chalice dungeons, which were literally the same tile set with just a few variations, right? So...
well...
It's them.
There are some pretty unique ones, but for the most part, yeah.
Sure. I mean, you every, what was it, 10 floors in the Chalice dungeon, you got a wholly unique dungeon that was different, and that was usually where the unique boss battles were, if I'm remembering correctly. And then you would go back to doing some generic ones, and you'd get every 10th floor or something like that.
There's a lot. There's a lot of content in the Chalice dungeons, like a lot. So.
It's a shame too, because
crazier than that, honestly. It's like a fucking spider web of content instead of just like a straight line of 10s. But there is a lot there.
I remember when I went back to do that stuff and found it so deeply unfulfilling. Honestly, as somebody who really loves Bloodborne, but anyway, so Elden Ring, we've gotten our differing opinions. Those of you listening at home can tell that we've had this fight many times. But we've gotten kind of our differing opinions on the base game sorted out. This is where it gets interesting. So DLC comes out. Day one, immediately impressions. Crossley, I've talked to you the least since this came out, so I want to hear you first. What was your initial reaction when you loaded into the, what do they call it, the Shadowlands? Is that what it is?
Is that what it's called? Shadowlands? I call it the Shadow Realm.
Land of Shadow?
Yeah.
I don't know. After I got a Shadow Realm rune, it was over. It's the Shadow Realm for me forever. But yeah, I was just immediately like kind of impressed just with the visual style, like right away, just like how everything looked in terms of like color and stuff. I was like, God damn, they fucking nailed the vibes right now. Like, I am feeling this. And I don't know, I kind of like immediately wandered up to that fucking, I don't know, little fucking basement with a boss that's like, in my eyes, a fucking Guts reference.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I was not about to not walk away with that dude's fucking weapon and armor. So I just banged my head against it until I beat it. And I enjoyed doing it. It didn't take, me but a few tries. So I was pretty happy about that, because
what's the name
I
of that
was
boss
worried
again?
that it was going to be really fucking hard and take me a long, well, it was really hard. I think I got lucky, but anyway.
Yeah. I did the same exact thing, by the way. The same exact thing happened to me. Yeah.
Fire.
And,
And then
I ended up just, I was like, I'm not doing this right now. Like when I saw how much damage I was doing to him, I died the first time and just walked away. I was like, I'm not falling for this Margit ass bullshit again, where I banged my head on Margit for, you know, a few minutes trying to get through it, even though I was clearly not the right level for it.
Yeah. And then yeah, I sort of just kept exploring that first area. I think it's like south or like southeast, kind of like before you hit any of the like cities or I don't know,
Yeah.
castles, whatever the fuck they are, like the little mini areas. Kind of like checked all that out, was having a good time, and then I ended up going the direction where that leads to Rolana, and I did that whole area first. That's like the first thing I really did, and I was just having a blast. And then I finally got to Rolana, and she was cooking me so hard. I don't know. It was great. I don't even know how to fully like quantify how it was better for me then, but the further I got and the more I saw the like just the level design and how they had done things and really just how much content there was actually was going to be, I was like, holy fuck, this is crazy. But my initial thoughts, like the first night, honestly, or first couple nights, me doing that stuff and leading to Rolana, I was kind of just like, you know, this is more Elden Ring so far, and I'm enjoying it. It's definitely better. Like, and just I don't know, in terms of quality of the content and how I'm engaging with it and stuff. But yeah, then after that is when I was really impressed. Once I saw more and how much more there was, I was like, oh fuck, this is more than just more Elden Ring. This is like they literally stepped up the quality, and they didn't have to. Like they got so much praise for base game. Like I don't know if they were developing the DLC by the time the game had come out, or if they started development after release, or
That's
what.
a good question. Yeah,
it is crazy that they basically, at least in comparison to their other DLC releases for like Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, those all are kind of more of the same. Like, granted, I enjoy those DLCs a lot, especially Dark Souls 3. I think that is actually a kind of a step up in quality, I guess, compared to the base game. The boss fights and shit are really fucking awesome and unique. But yeah, it's usually just kind of more of the same, in my opinion. And then this was like, no, they literally, like, I've seen a lot of people say they really made Elden Ring 2 and marketed it as a DLC. And I kind of feel that way. This feels like how a sequel would feel almost to me. It's interesting.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Dark Souls 2 DLC, like in the sense that
really,
yeah, not in game. I mean, you know, some of the design language. I mean, people have been making the joke that Elden Ring is Dark Souls 2 too, you know, all along. But but like
it's true.
Some of the design language stuff does carry over for sure, but there is a funny thing that happens in the Dark Souls 2 DLC where you literally boot up the DLC. If you've never played it, I highly recommend it, because you'll play the Dark Souls 2 base game and then you'll load it in the DLC and you'll go, why didn't they do this the entire time? Like, the quality of the content in the Dark Souls 2 DLC is, the bar is so high in that stuff compared to a lot of portions of the base game that feel I don't know, it's kind of like what we were talking about with the layers of, there's multiple levels and you could spend a lot of time just kind of meandering around going through the different paths in the zones. A lot of the Dark Souls 2 base game was a straight shot with a few offshoots. In the Dark Souls 2 DLC, they really leaned into that layer kind of structure design, especially like with the Sunken City stuff. So yeah, it is pretty impressive just how crazy the level design in the Elden Ring DLC feels on a whole. It's firing on all cylinders. I mean, it is really like the layout of the world. They know you're going to get on that mausoleum when you load in the first time. They know that shit. They're like, I know how this works. I'm going to go in here and get a free thing. And then you go in, and it's the hardest boss fight in the game at that first part, because he just does so much damage, and his moveset is insane. Yeah, I mean, his moveset is... I
remember the first time he got me, he hits me, you know, with the melee attack, and it does over half my health, I think, and I'm like, oh shit, and I back away. Then he does the fucking range slash and finishes me off, and I'm like, This son of a bitch, I'm in.
Oh yeah, he loves jumping attacks too. It's like he saw
Oh yeah.
Miyazaki saw all of those videos of people jumping, attacking the end bosses and staggering them, and he was like, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Like,
And I love that, like, I won't even lie, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll use Mimic Tier, let's go. And then he just fucking ignores Mimic Tier no matter what, bro.
Yeah.
Doesn't even fucking look at him, just fucking stone eyes straight towards me and fucking just tries to kill me no matter what. Mimic Tier can't even stagger it no matter what I give it. It's just like literally, it doesn't matter. They didn't want you to like have that advantage basically, like, and you can tell they literally designed that. I mean, I don't know, maybe at some point you grind and it's like not a big deal, but out the gate it's definitely a big deal. For sure.
all right, Merced, first impressions on the DLC when you logged in.
I agree with Crossley. I think the visually they had like some secret sauce for this shit. I don't know what happened, but like even the color palette, like as soon as you enter into the DLC, it looks significantly different than the base game. Like it's just more impactful visually. Yeah. But I did the exact same thing that y'all did. So like my first shit was like, I'm just gonna veer left and then keep making basically small circles on the map, and then of course the first thing that you hit is the guts looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think
crossbow.
And it's so I think that now that I think about it, that's a great introduction to the DLC because the dude has multiple forms. He basically doesn't stop fucking attacking, and he hits you like a fucking truck. Like as soon as like you get the idea very, very quickly, And I think it was really smart to do that just so that people know right out the gate, like you're probably like, it's not that you're under leveled, it's just that you're probably going to get your shit pushed in. Right? Like this is just a normal enemy. So
yeah, well, I mean,
anyone coming in at like level 150 is going to feel that when they first fight him.
And the funny thing is that level really has nothing to do with it at all, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just they're teaching you that the curve has been reset.
Right.
Yeah.
Your level doesn't matter for shit in the DLC. Like you could be, I mean, you need to be able to beat Moog is really the DPS check, right? That's I have the stats to at least get into the DLC and be effective. From there, it's all Shadow Tree blessings. I mean, it is. It's all Shadow Tree blessings and the horsey ashes. I forget what it's called.
And
that's it.
If you're a man of no honor, then you need the ashes.
I'm gonna scream at you.
I'll say that. I'll say that out loud. We're all thinking it. It's okay.
I think they're fine.
Are you talking about the spirit ashes or the ones that make your horse stronger? I'm talking about the ones that make your horse stronger.
Yeah, those are but they make your summon stronger too.
Oh, do they really? I didn't actually know that. Did I?
Yeah.
Did I know that? I don't think I knew that. Okay. No, the reason I'm saying you need them is literally just because otherwise that boar guy fucking one-shots your horse.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I definitely was at like I think 10 or 11 whenever I fought him for the ashes. So.
Are you serious? I was at 6, so that kind of explains maybe some of the.
Yeah, my horse is getting one shot as well.
It's so.
Mine was too, but maybe probably not as often as y'all. But yeah, that boss is just garbage anyway.
So maybe this is a good time to do the difficulty discourse then. So about a day after the game came out, everybody's been whining that the DLC is too hard, and that they don't like it, and people were review bombing it, which I think is really funny. And I mean, on the one hand, the one thing that we always expect from these DLC, which is why if you play Bloodborne's DLC, if you play Dark Souls 3's DLC, 2, even 1 at the time when that was new, it was all of those games were a ratcheting up of the complexity of the bosses. 1, so the bosses get harder, not really just in raw damage, but I mean, of course they do. They expect you to be higher level
in raw damage as well.
But in terms of complexity, they also dial it up a pretty substantial amount.
Yes.
Elden Ring is a little unique in that the start of Elden Ring, they assume sometimes, I mean, rightfully in a lot of ways, but also this was a lot of people's first Souls games, but they assume that you've played this before. So the boss complexity in every Souls game, every new Souls game, is higher than all of the previous ones at the beginning. Like, think about Margit. That was such an amazing introduction into Elden Ring because in terms of moveset and complexity and damage, one of the hardest early bosses in any Souls game ever, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of amazing, really. It was the same way people felt about Gascoigne and Bloodborne as well. Gascoigne was a fucking filter for a lot of people because it was like,
That's true, actually. I kind of forgot about that. But
here's a
I've
guy,
always-
who
I remember
who
people
hits
bitched
hard.
about him a lot.
Yeah, no, it's true. I totally forgot about that. For me, a standout is the beginning of Dark Souls 3. I feel like
Mhm. I was going to
that's
say
got to
that.
be crazy for new players. Like that
Yeah.
fucking, I forget what it's called now, but the thing it transforms into the black goo at the end phase. Like, yeah, if you're doing magic or pyromancer, you're probably going to end up okay. But anyone else that's trying to go any of the physical builds that's maybe new to a Souls game is going to really struggle with that thing. Like that
Yeah.
is maybe not shit for one of us, but I've always thought that was maybe an interesting one for new players.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember that was the first one I got Sean to play. That was, I
Yeah.
got him into Souls games with Dark Souls 3,
Yeah,
and he couldn't do it. He just
Yeah, it's
couldn't
tough.
do it. What he ended up doing is latching onto Bloodborne because he went back and played a lot of Bloodborne, and Bloodborne gives you a much longer ramp to Gascoigne.
yeah.
So he got the hang of it and in time to do Gascoigne, and then he ended up loving Bloodborne just from an aesthetic perspective. So that ended up being the one he played first, and then went back and did Dark Souls 3.
Do
What's up?
you have to fight the cleric beast before Gascon, or is it
Optional.
No,
Okay.
Optional,
Because
yeah.
I've always just happened to do that. I guess
he was
then.
the first. He was the first one that I ran into.
Yeah,
Okay, interesting.
I've taught Cleric Beast. I think
It's on
they,
the bridge, right,
yeah.
or whatever.
and you can't level until you either die for the first time or you beat the Cleric Beast. So,
I thought you had to beat a boss to level up.
do you? Is it beat a boss? I thought if you died and you go to the
think you-
Hunter's Dream, no? Maybe you're right. I can't recall now. Maybe it is beat a boss. I think
So
might
you
be right.
die to the werewolf, you go to the dream for sure. You get your weapon, you go back. Then if you die, I don't remember if you can
Yeah.
level up or not. I think you can't level up until you beat one of the first bosses, but it's been a while.
Because the
so I
doll
guess I'm
doesn't
not
wake
sure.
up for a while. So you get to the Hunter's Dream the first
Yeah.
time and the doll's not awake. So
Right.
you pick your weapon and then you go back and you kill the werewolf. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, Gascoigne hard filter. And I feel like
Yeah.
the Elden Ring DLC, we've got a wider audience playing this game than ever before. This DLC is it's like Maria or the Orphan of Cause or any of that stuff in Bloodborne. The whole Ring City in Dark Souls 3, all that stuff was a pretty hard filter. What was the 3-phase boss in the Dark Souls 3 DLC? That shit gave me conniptions. I get nightmares thinking about that.
The first one, Ashes of Ariandel, had the final boss
The
had
three
three
phase.
phases, and
Yeah.
in the Ring City, many of the bosses had 3 phases.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Yeah, the bosses in Ring City are fucking phenomenal. I love them so much.
either people are forgetting or they haven't played a Souls game before, but the DLC is
It's like FromSoft is forgetting. Did they forget that there's never been an issue with the DLCs being too easy? I feel like the fucking item is arbitrary and not needed, in my opinion. So whatever. But that being said, I don't think it's, yes. That being said, it doesn't really bother me that much either. It's just for me, I don't understand why they even felt like it was necessary. And I hope they never do it again.
because the problem is that by the time you get to DLC level, right? So Moog level, which is a 100-ish, higher than 100, you end up in a space where you're leveling up so infrequently because you require so many runes. So they want to give you a power scale that basically allows for constant progression in terms of damage output and in terms of feeling of progression. More regularly than if you're just having to level up every fucking however long, because basically you're only ever going to level up after you kill a boss.
But like, if that's the case, then it just I don't know. If that's how it is, then they just needed to not do it.
He's talking about the Shadow Tree
can't-
blessings. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell if I'm confused, but are you saying that like you don't need the Shadow Tree blessings to beat the DLC? Like,
He's saying that why include
saying
them?
The game didn't, like, in terms of how it's always gone, because it's never been an issue in previous games that the DLCs are too easy or anything like that. So I don't understand why now this time they're like, oh, well, let's make sure we implement this fucking arbitrary ass fucking item to ensure that the DLC is not too easy. Like, it's stupid as fuck to me. And if they were going to do that, I don't understand why they didn't do it in a way that's like, okay, as long as they hit any of these points, like a boss or the giant fucking walking flame basket thing, like as long as they hit these certain things and take them out, they'll guaranteed get this thing. They'll guaranteed move up in progress in terms of their overall power level. But they don't do it like that. They're in really stupid locations. Sometimes it makes sense. Like all the Nicholas crosses is kind of like the best way they do it, because that feels really natural. It's at a bonfire along the paths that you will blatantly see no matter where you go. But then there's literally there's like 3 different ones. They're just on a hippo in the fucking wild in a random ass spot that I only got to because I was trying to find these things to make the boar boss easier.
Come on,
because
guys.
I fucking hated him so much.
That is for
So it's just
sure a rhino. Let's get it together here.
Hippo.
That is
It's
goddamn
hippo,
rhino.
according to the fucking wiki.
It's a hippo.
So
It's definitely a hippo. It's a
I don't know.
hippo.
I think it has a horn. Anyway, it's fine.
It's a unicorn hippo. Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, even if there's a lore reason for the fucking hippos to have them, I don't give a fuck, because it's so off the beaten path and in a random ass spot that I hate it. I hate the item. It doesn't like I would say literally, other than the boar boss, which is the only time I gave a fuck about the bonfire item at all. Like I wasn't even bothered by it because I really didn't need it. I literally fought Rolana without any of them, and I just kind of banged my head against it for like, I don't know, 10 attempts, and then I got her. Whatever, who fucking cares? So I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly. It's just how they implemented it is retarded. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. They're fucking top tier, S tier game designers, and this is what they did. It's so fucking weird.
I think it was pretty obvious what they were thinking, right?
I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, they wanted a way in order to introduce a power curve for the player so they could dictate how hard they want the bosses to truly be.
Odds?
It's not like that they're in. I mean, I don't even know how you would put them in non-random spots at that point. Like, do you want them to be on like a hill with like a giant cross every single time? I'm not sure, because I mean, like the only way that you could have like a power curve in which the player is able to dictate just how difficult each boss is by just scattering them about.
Well, let's back up for a second, because let's think about the design philosophy in the base game. Okay, the game was designed to be basically our same experience in the DLC is a repeat. It is literally the same thing that happens in the base game. You go to Margit, you get your shit pushed in, and then you go explore. Really, that's what they're trying to make happen again, is they want you to realize each time you get your shit pushed in, so you go somewhere else and you do other shit. And along the way...
all the golden seeds you need are along the path. And there's extra ones that are off the beaten path, but all the ones you need are along the main path. And that absolutely is true.
Hold on. I think it is literally a choose your own difficulty experience. It is get the ones that are on the main path, because those are the ones that are required, basically. I mean, I say required.
And to that point,
you don't really.
They give you like 5 free levels.
Yeah. No, and to your point, I agree. The ones you need, quote unquote, yes. I just do think it's like, for me, not a big problem, but like seeing some of my friends' reactions to the difficulty of the DLC and stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, clearly, like, they didn't nail the implementation of this item, or it wouldn't be such a problem, right? Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Just being real, I do think they implemented it poorly. I'm playing the DLC and having a great time, with the exception of the boar boss. And yeah, they fucking botched that hard, no fucking question. But clearly they didn't do a great job with the Shadow Tree blessing either, because a lot of people are upset about it. So
I mean, I don't even see how there would be a better way to do it, because then you would have to lock them behind the bosses.
So
I think the scaling just needs to be tweaked, honestly, which they're already working on, and it's really just that simple. Like there's so many that are on the main path that the Nicholas crosses that they just need to tweak the scaling a little bit, and it's probably fine. It's that simple.
But isn't that kind of the thing? See, that's why I was confused. Was like because I thought what you were saying was like FromSoft should probably embrace the high level of difficulty for the DLC, right? So like introducing these Scattertree fragments is like almost the antithesis of how they approached all the other DLCs that they introduced in all their games.
That is what he was saying. But honestly, I think really
exactly. Ultimately, I think they didn't need it at all. But if they're going to do it, I think they needed to do it differently than they did at release. And they're going to tweak it and adjust it, and that's going to be fine then. But as it stands on release, I think it was stupid.
I don't know. I think it's like the perfect, like it's the best mix of both worlds. They basically give you like 5 free levels of the Scattertree fragments. If you do end up getting your shit pushed in really hard, you already know, hey, listen, you could go find these things. We've already proven to you they're just all around the world. You can go find those, come back later, and then you can do it. And then even further reinforces that we literally, it's like Chandler said, we did this in the base game. We literally did this exact thing.
The one thing I think Crossley is right about is that they do need to signpost better the Shadow Tree fragments and the the horsey ashes or whatever the fuck they're called.
Like they are in random spots.
They're
golden
in
seeds are always next to a fucking golden tree.
It's fine.
Scattertree blessings need to have something other than a Nicholas cross where it is consistent. They need to have something where you're like, oh yeah, now I know I'm about to get that thing.
Yeah, either consistency or something about an enemy that indicates that's what they have. Even if they're not going to make it consistent, just some kind of aura or something, because, the way the game is designed, you spend a lot of time on your horse bypassing enemies, either because you don't feel like fighting them right now, or you're like, I'm just trying to get a feel for this zone, and then maybe I'll come back. They should call your attention better to things that have the Shadow Tree blessings.
Other than a pothead.
Yeah, those are funny. Yeah, the first time I killed one of those guys carrying a pot, I realized he was glittering, by the way. And I was like, okay, I'll kill him. But it's not always a Shadow Tree blessing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a horsey ash. Sometimes it's something neither of those two. That kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't hate it as much. I think it's smart. It's a smart design philosophy because it's basically just like the base game. It's choose your own adventure, right? It's if you want the difficulty, it's here, and you cannot go and get these way extra ones that are super out of the way. Or you could just kind of play it naturally where you stumble upon the ones you stumble upon, and then you sort of take it that way, which is sort of how I'm doing it. I ended up at Mesmer at like level 7 and was like, I'm getting my shit pushed in. What's going on? And then I went back and got more and got it to 10 and then did a lot better. You know what I mean? And then ended up beating him. But it was just like, yeah, I think there's definitely a feeling that Miyazaki wants you to have, which is hard wall, and then you back up and kind of reevaluate the space that you have available to you. Like we've talked about many times, open world Elden Ring design is not what I want from a FromSoft game. If I'm being really honest with myself, I like Demon Souls is my favorite FromSoft game. I like the super linear, it is what it is kind of challenge, and you end up just using levels as your kind of barometer or your crutch to get through, right?
Fucking Latria.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I really appreciate that kind of design from them. But
it's a top tier game.
It is, but this is it's a different style of game, and it is cool that they tried it. And I think they did it a lot better in the DLC than they did in the base game, in my opinion, in telling you what you need to know. Because you could level the same criticism at the base game if you're a first-time Souls player. You're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? The answer is just go around and do other things, get some weapons, get some better armor, and level up. And in this case, leveling up just happens to be gated behind the Shadow Tree blessings. So
and I've heard the people express this it makes it feel like the work they kind of put into their character kind of feels like it means nothing because now they have to go find this thing to be relevant. And I kind of empathize with that a little bit, but I mean, more or less, honestly, I do think you kind of get the ones you need more or less along the way. The boar boss being the biggest exception for me. I just don't know what they were thinking with that fucking difficulty. The numbers on him are just fucked. I don't know why, but
yeah. I mean, so we could let's move into that now. Then let's talk about the second phase. Well, yeah, we can. I mean, it'll be a part of that discussion, but let's talk about the second portion of what is the too hard discourse, which is boss complexity. We touched on it at the beginning, but in general, the best bosses in the DLC are the ones that introduce more complexity. From what by the way, I'm not done. I think both of you guys are done. I'm nearing.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I'm gonna finish it after this. I'm gonna play it all day, I think. Yeah.
I'm pretty close. I mean, we can get into really how far we are and current impressions here after this, but I'll say boss complexity. So like from what I've faced so far, I think there's two that highlight kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of ways to do it. Varying degrees of success. And then there's really, I mean, I wouldn't even call it complexity at all. It's just poor design, which is the boar guy. So you have the lion, very complex boss in terms of types of move sets. He does a lot of different types of elemental damage. He was
really cool.
He was the first major boss that I faced when I got into the game. I think he kind of sucks.
How do you mean?
When I came to the realization that you're really not supposed to do him right now, perhaps like as the first boss, I kind of eased back on that opinion. But at the time when I was fighting him, it took me, I don't know, 10 tries or so. When I was fighting him, I was like, there are so many moments in which I have no idea where the damage is coming from because it's just coming from off screen or below me in ways that I can't really figure out. Mostly with the lightning, I think. But in his essence, the added complexity is massive AoEs on the ground everywhere, and then his general moveset is really, really layered. Right? There's a lot of sub movements within his overall attack patterns that even branch off into different attacks, right? So two attacks might start off pretty similarly and then turn into two different attacks by the end, which I think is interesting. It's also something you have to learn, right? I mean, that's how you get better at the boss. The first time you fight him, it feels pretty mean. I think. I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but
no, I agree. I think a lot of the but I also feel like he's the only boss where this becomes a problem.
Yeah,
is just by his design, really figuring out what the fuck he's about to do to you
is harder.
Is hard to figure out.
Yeah,
but I mean, like you get it off of like very small visual cues after a while. But for sure, like at first, I was like, "This feels like I'm rolling the dice here."
No,
like,
you're right.
Whenever he goes to hit me or anything, or like, when the fuck is this guy gonna stop fucking attacking me? Because a lot of the combos look similar until you figure out like they don't actually look similar. But you know, like at first, you get confused very, very easily. So like you might mistake one combo for another combo, which really, honestly, doesn't exist all that much with other FromSoft bosses. Yeah. Once you see the first couple hits, you're like, "Oh, I know exactly what this combo is." Whereas like him, he'll do what looks like almost the exact same thing up until the last like two attacks,
right?
And if you guess that wrong, you get fucked pretty hard. And then add on top of that,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say add on top of that, because he elementally switches. He'll have the exact same physical cues. He'll do the same exact physical,
but movement, the AOE will be different.
But the AOE is different. So yeah,
which is fascinating.
Well.
Which is really fascinating. I like the design overall. I think tuning it differently from where I was in the game at that time, because I was probably like level 2 with the Shadow Tree blessings, which made this probably a bit harder than it needed to be. But Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first things I did. So, I just kind of ended up that way. But um, cool design. I really like it. I think the other end of that spectrum is someone like Rilana, who I almost always call Renala. um, Rilana is, everybody said it already, Pontiff Sullivan version 2.0 from Dark Souls 3. Very funny joke. I actually think Pontiff Sullivan is a better boss.
I love Pontiff Sullivan so much. It's one of my favorite bosses. Yeah,
Really cool boss.
I
But
also like Rolana
Rilana's
a lot,
great.
though. Yeah,
But so Rilana is the full opposite of the Lion, which is that the move complexity is there, but there's a lot more clarity in what's happening in the fight in general.
it's about surviving.
Yeah, and it also makes it kind of easier for me to read and easier for me to adapt. Rilana didn't take me that many tries, not as many as the Lion did, because I tend to do really well in these dual style bosses. I will say the fucking crashing moon thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, and I really like jumping it. I think that's really fun, and I got it immediately, but then still getting the timing right is the one thing. So like I dodged the first one and then got hit by the second one because I didn't know, that she was going to do it. Or no, it's the third one where she crashes down and does the wave again. The third one got me every time because I would always forget. But it was just like,
I literally blocked them all.
That's insane. I didn't even know you could block them. I mean, I don't use a shield, but
I didn't until this fight. I literally never do either. And she was like one-shotting me because I didn't know what the Erdtree blessings did. I wasn't either paying attention or maybe they just don't tell you. I don't know, but
they tell you.
They tell you.
Okay. Yeah, I was not paying attention. I don't fucking read anyway. So I'm like,
it's like two sentences, but
my man just dismantled his own
like
argument.
Wild. He saw reading and he was like, no.
He's a lore man who doesn't read. Yeah. He goes on vibes only.
I want to consume the lore. He sees the Erdtree fragment. He's like, no.
I ain't reading that shit.
Give me guts. There's a Berserk reference.
Yeah, you said you went in at level 2. Is that what you said?
I fought her at level 0.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
That is crazy. I can't imagine doing that.
And I didn't know what to do basically because I literally didn't know what that item was or did, so I didn't use it. Actually, that's not true. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I did know what it did. I didn't know if it would maybe have another use later that I would cherish more. Because I could see, it had the two different options, and I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what they did exactly or which one was more important. So I was like, well, I'll save these for now. But so that is still on me though. But anyway, so I'm fighting her without them, and she's absolutely cooking me with the damage. If I mistime a dodge, basically I'm dead, right? Like one shot, literally. And so I put on all my fucking magic resist shit that I have, talismans, armor, etc. And then my shield is 89% magic damage resist. So I'm only going to take 11 percent of the damage. And yeah, sure enough, during that fucking moon thing, bam, 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 like a little sliver of fucking damage each time.
Wow.
And like still had like a fuck ton of stamina too.
That's
amazing. I started fucking beating her ass. Yeah, it was great.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about these games is like you can just kind of fuck around and experiment with what works. The challenge is not getting so pissed off that you refuse to do that and instead just bash your head into them, which is what I did for Mesmer. So Mesmer, this is like I've constructed. Let's marvel how I've constructed this discussion because we started off with the Lion. I'm just fucking around. We started off with the Lion, who's really complicated. He's got a very complicated moveset, and it's hard to read in a way that I find kind of bad. Then you've got Rilana, who's easy to read, still complicated in her own way, which I kind of like. I think Mesmer is the perfect marriage between the two because you get the first phase, which is more like Rilana. Easy to read, for the most part. He does some fire attacks, which I think
flourish. Yeah.
He's got flourish. He's got some fire attacks, which I think are really cute because not only do they damage you, but they also block your ability to see the next move he's doing. And I know that they did that shit on purpose. because he like throws the dust in your face or whatever, and it literally blocks the
And then
camera.
he stabs through it and ignites it. Dude,
Yeah.
that shit is fun. Oh, that
Yeah.
fight is so Kino, dude. It's so good.
Merced watched me do from start to finish the whole thing. So what would you say, like 15 tries maybe?
Yeah, that's probably about right. 10 to 15.
And he saw me go through basically every range of emotion, but yeah, I mean, it really is. So you get that first phase, which is the stuff that I like, which is the easy to read stuff. And then you get the second phase, which is a really good mixture of the same stuff you got from phase 1, but powered up and a little bit more flourish. And then you get the really hard to read stuff, which is when he turns into a snake and he flies around the whole fucking screen. And in the moment, you're like, this is fucking bullshit. What's happening? But in reality, I mean, it's a pretty good marriage between those two different designs, which is the flailing, Vicar Amelia shit that, people used to get mad about and still get mad about, clearly, because I just did it for the lion. And then, the really measured duelist humanoid versus humanoid stuff. So to me, Mesmer so far might be one of their best boss designs ever.
I loved it.
Here's the challenge with that, though, and I see this is where I lend some amount of validity to the too hard discourse, which is Merced is banging his microphone out of protest in what I'm saying. No,
Go on.
he Mesmer does do an obscene amount of damage in one. Like, he punishes you pretty harshly. In his second phase in a few ways that you can learn around for sure, but there is definitely a very demoralizing point where like the amounts of openings that you have to attack in his second phase get really whittled down, especially if you're an ultra greatsword user, an unga bunga man like me. It's one hit and that's all you get. You get one hit every time he opens himself, no matter the phase. And in phase 2, those openings get narrower and narrower. So I do think that is the problem with some of this complexity. And that was, I think back to the Matthew Matosis video on Dark Souls 2, which is equal parts entertaining and also kind of bullshit. But his main complaint was that the main way in which you die to bosses in some cases is you get impatient and tired of waiting for your turn. And you start making mistakes out of impatience. Like, you're like, I'll do 2 swings here. And then he chunks you for half your health or more. And you're like, oh, fuck, I wish I was dead in real life. And it's and it's that. So, I think that's the only amount of understanding these people get from me in terms of the too hard discourse. Otherwise, I think it's all nonsense. But yeah.
The boar's damage is insane. No, I mean, there's...
For sure.
There's no excuses.
Let's just talk
I was telling Chandler this yesterday. Like, he does the most damage out of any of the other bosses. And he seems to have the most health out of all of the other bosses. Who thought that this was okay? Like, it's fucking insane. And then there was one fucking Chandler was riding his horse and he was talking about how he was like, he just one shots you, he knocks you off the horse. And I was like, yeah, wait until you see this one move where he just instantly knocks you off. And then he just did it. And like, literally, you have maybe 2 frames to react. Maybe. And if you're on your horse, you are not dodging it because you can't fucking dodge on your horse.
Nope.
Where he just flails in one direction and throws the boar like 20 feet. And then it just hits you, knocks you off, and you're done. Things like that, like, dude. Like, so not only does he have that aspect of his kit where he can instant knock you off and put you in a horrible position, because if you do get knocked off your horse, the chances of him hitting you again for like well over 60% of your health are really fucking high. He does not wait to hit you again. Yeah. So like, Andy has the highest health, Andy does the most damage. I don't understand what the fuck they were like, who tuned that fucking boss, but they fucked up really hard. So
yeah, it's shocking to me that passed through multiple layers of playtesting without major changes, because I mean, I left it. I haven't gone back to him. I probably, if I do and it ends up being as painful as it was the first time, I'll just summon my mimic or something. I don't know, because it's not really fun. Merced watched me do what I would call a really good on foot attempt. Like I did a version of that fight where I was just completely on foot. I actually got way further on foot than I did on my horse.
I do better on foot too. Yeah.
And I did probably he had about a third of his health remaining on that attempt
Yeah.
for me.
And then the gravity.
Exactly. And then it's like,
Yep. How do you survive it?
Okay.
I don't know what you're
Horse.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
For that part, I guess, but
The horse worked. I don't know.
But even then, it's just like it's so insane to me. Even the cheese method, which is how I beat him because I fucking don't respect that boss. Even the cheese method is so fucking hard because of the gravity shit he does. Like,
Yeah.
he's a fucking like literally what Radon should have been.
Yeah. It's
Except that would have been really hard.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's one of the few examples of a situation in which you like I'm actually really trying hard to think. What is the last FromSoft boss that you loaded into and you were just like, I legitimately can't see what they were thinking. Like, like this is a new low, I think.
Yeah, it's the worst thing. Yeah, it's the worst.
I mean, maybe
the double
every time
gargoyles,
I fight a dragon,
yeah, the dragons are pretty tough, but they're not this
dragons
bad.
are fine.
They're not this bad.
their hitboxes suck ass.
They
bro.
do.
They're
You're right. They
fucking
do.
garbage.
Yeah.
The double gargoyles in base game Elden Ring actually really triggered me.
Oh yeah, that was tough. Yeah.
That boss
The
fight.
ones in Nokron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those hurt.
yeah.
Those did hurt a lot.
Yeah, they have pretty much everything in their arsenal. And
I was gonna say,
when I was cleaning my shit up, like I was getting all the achievements, I almost died to them, and I was like, "That's ridiculous. That is actually stupid."
Yeah, because you'd beaten the DLC already, and now you're getting killed by them. Yeah. I was thinking, and you would fight them at a way lower level in the base game if the DLC.
I was like
exist,
level
right?
200, bro.
Yeah.
So.
I was gonna say in Dark Souls 1, what is it? The Bed of Chaos fight. That was probably the last time.
That's number one on my list. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I hate that game. That's what like sent me over the edge in terms of how I feel about it.
Yeah,
Bottom of my list, Dark Souls 1.
Tuned very poorly. That's an insane opinion. We will not address it further.
Bed of Chaos triggered me.
What boss?
Bed of Chaos in Dark Souls 1?
The boss in the unfinished area that like is a huge gimmick that
the whole last third of the game.
Horrible.
I must have wiped that from my memory. I do not.
It's a gigantic plant that you have to. It's a gimmick boss. You have to hit.
You like run and jump.
You gotta first deactivate its shield, so you hit the two on either side of it is like glowing little maggots that you kill in one hit, but you have to avoid it swiping down at you with massive branches. Also, by the way, the floor is falling out as you progress through the fight. So like you kill one, more of the floor falls away, you run around to the other side, kill the other one. Then you have to jump, make a huge platforming jump, which in Dark Souls 1, platforming in Dark Souls 1 is pretty funny. But yeah, you do a big platforming jump into the center of the boss and then kill it. By the way, I remember the first time I fought that thing. I'm always, first time I play through any of these games, Unga Bunga man, for sure. I literally go maximum strength, maximum health. Back then, I was okay with fat rolling because who's rolling anyway? Dark Souls 1 was a shield game for sure. And so my first playthrough, I was fat rolling and I couldn't run fast enough. I got to the part where you jump onto the middle platform and then you try to get in to you got to like break the branches to get into where the main boss is, and you're going to kill it in one hit. You just got to get there. It charges up an AoE that does so much damage, and I'm so slow because I'm fat rolling and I'm wearing all this heavy armor, so I'm just like barely making it in and dying to that AoE, and that was like one of the most triggering things because. And this is how I know that these people complaining about too hard in the DLC are fucking wrong, because the run up to that fight, the run to the Bed of Chaos fight is like 10 minutes of game. That is the thing that they have changed out. Yeah. They used to do long run-ups where you would have to either run past a bunch of enemies or fight them in order to get back to the boss. but the bosses were lower complexity back then. So once you kind of got it, you got it. This game, you're gonna get creamed, but at least you spawn right outside the fucking door.
Yeah, there's a American statue fucking everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is
fuck, what was it? There was one where I had to run like maybe 15, 20 seconds, and I was like, the fucking audacity of this fucking game. Making me run for like 20 seconds. Are you fucking shitting me? Who do you think you are? Like,
I remember thinking that a few times in the DLC. I was like, damn, they actually made a little stretch here in between where I just died in the checkpoint. What the fuck? These sons of bitches.
In Rolana's castle too, there was a stretch of like a good like maybe 20 enemies between Graces, and I was like, wow, they're pushing me here.
Yeah.
Like
here's the funny thing about this game for me. I think I've just my pattern of getting through the areas has gotten so tight. I have never, and I mean never, died other than to falling or a boss. A mob has not killed me in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
I died to the dual-bladed dudes.
Oh, the spinny guys?
Those are insane.
I died to them. Yeah.
Really? I could stun lock them, so it's fine.
I couldn't.
What?
My shit couldn't.
Yeah, Merced knows. He's seen it.
Yeah, his shit is like retarded. But I have a curved greatsword that does not break poise as easily as that.
Yeah,
I have 100 poise, and my weapon I'm using is the Ruins greatsword, the Ultra greatsword.
Oh,
I literally plow through two-handed. Holy shit, man! Any mob in the game
has some of the highest stagger in the whole game. So fair enough.
Yeah, Mesmer was at like maybe a little like 60% HP, and then he got poise broken, and I was like, what the fuck? Like how the fuck?
Yeah, a key strategy for me in that fight was breaking his poise multiple times. Like I had to break his poise I think 3 times in the successful run that I did on Mesmer.
There are a lot of bosses I never saw the animation for the poise break. It was just like,
watch me and you will.
Never happened. Yeah. I saw. Oh fuck! There's one. I was just thinking about a boss that you haven't encountered yet, so never mind. Fuck
okay, all right. It should be interesting. I need to go back to the sunflower because I haven't done that one yet either. But that seemed pretty fun.
I liked the sunflower. There were a lot of people who hated the fucking dude. The people were fucking losing their mind over this. I was like, this is easy. It's not
unfair, but it's just long. It's just a long fight, and that was the thing. Was like because I'm slow and heavy, he moves away so much, and the hitbox on him does kind of suck, honestly, because you want to get the head is really where the money is. And the way his head moves around and how slow my sword swings, I hit him in the head once in phase 1, and it's literally half of his health. But hitting him once is such a challenge. He's constantly moving that thing around.
He's got a couple moves where he just gives it to you.
Yeah, the ancient meteoric or greatsword, brother. That'll help you close any gap.
I got it. Yeah, I got it, but I don't have the stats for it. I need a higher arcane. So
pathetic.
Yeah, I know.
I want to see how good that thing is, honestly.
So fucking insane.
Are you using
strong?
it?
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I was using it until some of these bosses I'm getting to now. I want to get more hits off, basically, but it's crazy clutch. Because I was using it to close gaps most of the time, because that's insane.
Yeah.
But then I realized I could just fling my stick backwards and use it and get away from things too. It is clutch in every regard.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then getting AoE burst damage with the follow-up is also fucking amazing. For like,
I didn't even think about using it like that. That is actually really strong.
It's so good.
It does feel like.
Have you gone? What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Have you gone to the ruins of Ra or whatever the fuck?
I think I've
northwest of the map.
I think I've been there, but I haven't found the map or cleared it out. I've just been there. Like I haven't actually fully explored it.
There was just another weapon that I was curious if you'd tried. So.
Which one?
Gotcha.
It's the one you got last night with the hammer.
Oh yeah. I
want to know how good that thing is.
Yeah.
That thing seems sick.
So has anybody gotten that hammer that you can throw in the DLC? Has anybody seen that?
I've gotten an axe you can throw. I don't think I've gotten the hammer yet.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, I just saw I saw a clip on Twitter of a guy he does like the spin, like his whole character spins around and lets go of the hammer, and it clobbers a guy, and it looks insanely hilarious. So I assume it teleports back to you or it comes back to you.
Yeah, it's
in
one
some
of the
way.
throwing weapons. You just
Yeah.
have it again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where you are in the game, Crossley. What and it's fine. I mean, I'm obviously spoilers. This whole thing, I'm not super precious about it. Although, I don't really know what the bosses coming up are. But I mean, I imagine since you're not at the end, you haven't really gotten to the super crazy stuff. But what's the area you're in right now? What kind of what are you mopping up stuff that you missed? Are you kind of beelining it to the end? What's the mode?
I've done a lot of the stuff that I think you've probably seen and engaged with, maybe even if you haven't done, like, I don't know what all you've seen, but like I feel like I've done a lot of the stuff that's like in the immediate bubble of where you start the DLC, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like
yeah.
to the left there's the beast boss, to the right there's Rolana, south there's that area, north there's this area, and then like the immediate things after those as well I've like kind of explored. But then there's like these other fucking areas that I have access to but just haven't explored yet, whose names I forget too.
Did you do
but
the
I
giant
imagine,
hole in the ground yet?
which one?
Uh, it's giant. I mean, it's fucking huge. The coffin hole. Okay. All right.
I've been under the ground in a lot of ways.
Fucking
so I think,
huge. I mean, massive.
yeah, I think so.
Saint
But
Trina.
I kind of, yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I did
that's
that
the last
yesterday.
thing I did. Yeah, it's the last thing I did, and now I'm like, okay, this was a dead end, I think.
And you blew? Did you blow the whistle?
The side quests with the finger whistles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
Both of
I've
them.
done the dragon side quests. I've done a lot of stuff, honestly. I
You
feel
did
like
both of the whistles or just the one?
I've done all three.
Oh, there's three. Huh.
Yeah. After the second one, did you go under the chair?
I haven't been back to the guy who told me to do it yet. So
Okay. Yeah, go under the chair.
word. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
But then after the fissure and Saint Trina, I feel like the few areas I have left, I have to be nearing the end. But
Okay.
I also don't have like 2 or 3 maps in these areas that I'm talking about. So I
Oh.
really don't know how much more content I have, and I haven't played like at all this week. I've been kind of busy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna play a lot tonight and tomorrow, hopefully, before I go out of town and clean everything up. But I really don't know how much content I have left, honestly, because I don't have these maps. It's either literally just small little areas that I need to go through real quick. Like, I know one, Merced, is the area past that dungeon you told me about.
What is that?
Which one?
Remember, I was looking for the armor set, and you're like, I don't know if you want me to tell you, but I will tell you. And I'm like, yeah, just tell me. And it was like,
oh,
it's in
that one.
It's in this dungeon. And I'm like, I didn't find the armor set, but I found a whole new area.
Yeah.
What was
that
it?
area, and then a few of the northern areas. I forget what it's called, but
I think it's the spot that you have not been to yet, Chandler.
Oh,
it's pretty
okay.
hidden. It's like absurdly hidden. The dungeon is very hidden in the area. Well, I guess it's after the boss, but the dungeon is kind of hard to get through. Honestly,
What boss is it after?
It's
not really like after a boss.
It's a boss in a dungeon. So
Really?
the
you're
dungeon,
right. It is. Yeah,
it's a
you're
boss,
totally
and then
right.
you keep going.
Have I done it yet, Merce? Have I done the dungeon? Did
No,
I just miss the
you
boss?
haven't.
Very
okay.
hidden.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so
it's easy to miss.
Yeah, I found a few areas now, basically, that I just haven't done yet that are very, very hidden areas, and I have a few maps that I'm missing too. And one of them I don't know how to get to, like the area with the map. I can see the map like to the, I don't know, northwest or something, and I'm like, how the fuck do I get there? And I've tried to get there so many times, and I literally can't figure out how to get there.
Tell
so
me
there's
this.
like a whole area I don't even know.
Is it down the river? Because I've been up and down the river like a lot, like in really areas where I was like, there's nothing over here, and then it turns out
not the main. It's not the main ravine. It's the ravine that is in between the church and Shadowkeep.
Church and Shadowkeep.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Ymir's
Okay.
church and Shadowkeep. It's not the
Okay.
main
Okay.
ravine. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah,
So
I
you
guess I
just got to go
haven't.
down. You got to go down there and then keep going. You'll find it eventually, but
Guess
it's
I
just
haven't
like
been down
off
there.
tucked in the
Yeah.
corner.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny just how much hidden stuff there is, and you explore something what you think is so fucking thoroughly, and then you realize you might have missed something or something like that. Like, I mean, I'm meticulous, and even still, I know I'm missing stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
am
there's a lot.
very, very careful. I mean, did you guys do that jumping puzzle fucking river section?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oh, and then it's a
Yeah.
cooking book or some bullshit.
I just don't remember what that one was. What was the spot that you're talking about, Crossley, that you haven't found?
I think he's talking about where
It's
Mossberg was yesterday.
it's like northwest, I think. I'd have to pull it up to know for sure, but I
Oh.
want to say it's like west of the beast boss, the first boss basically. It's like north or west of him. There's like an area that I can see. It's like all grayed out, but I can see where the map fragment is.
I think he's talking about the
That's like-
ruins that you were asking about, Merced.
Yeah.
I just
I
feel like
mean-
I've been there, so I'm surprised I couldn't find the map, but I don't know.
If I remember correctly, the map actually for that zone isn't in that area at all. It's in another area because I had the map for that section and had never been there. I
can see the map fragment on my map though, so I don't know if we're talking about the same thing.
I think we are, because what's funny is last night I got to that ruins area. You know, it's after it's where the hippos and
Just
stuff
look at
are,
my
right?
That sounds like the south.
What the fuck is the south? Why would it be the south? It's like dead center middle of the map. Here's what we'll do. Map.
Look
Hold
at
on,
my
I'm
map.
just gonna draw an arrow where he needs to go.
Are you did you pull it up?
Because I'm like dead positive I already know what is happening here.
I'm pretty sure I know as well.
Whatever, y'all can't read.
It'll take like 2 seconds.
Are you just share your screen, Merced?
Oh yeah, true. That is the easiest
How
way
are
to
you
do
doing? Do you have the game open or are you looking online?
it. No, I
I
got
have
it right
my
here.
game open.
Okay. Oh, okay, all right. Here we go.
All right. You can see it.
Hold on. Yeah.
All right. So we have an understanding that this is the Morth ruins, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm pulling up my map as a reference because I don't fully know what I don't have just by looking at this. So DLC map. What I'm talking about is directly west of Fog Rift Catacombs. Oh, I guess you don't have the bonfires up.
Yeah.
Pull up.
That
Can you
doesn't
pull up the
really-
bonfires or the sites of grace? Just click on it to the left.
So you see that
Oh,
green
it
area
doesn't-
on
oh,
the
this
west
is-
side?
This is a goddamn image. Son of a bitch.
I don't know what you want, man.
So the green area on the left,
Oh,
the like
no.
grassy area
Yeah.
with the red trees.
Yeah.
All of that I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
I'm
we were
trying to-
talking about.
I'm trying to show. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to show
yeah,
you
okay.
where that is.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you understand this is the castle. This is the Morth ruins, right?
Yep.
All right. So you go to the Morth ruins. All you do is go north, and in this lake area, you're going underneath this, and then you go all the way around, and you come here, and you get that thing.
Okay. North
Yeah.
of Morth.
But go here, and
Yeah.
then go. You're gonna loop all the way around.
Okay.
Wait, but that doesn't
'Cause
give you.
you're
Does that
going-
give you the map of that area?
Yeah, because the map is over here. But to get here, the easiest way is just to go here and then
Wait,
loop all the way around. Because you
really?
can run; it's a straight shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried
Wait.
getting there all the ways that connect to it directly on the map, and it's impossible.
How-
So I think Merced's right.
So
This
wait.
is just a straight shot. It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So I've already been there. Okay, I guess I've already been there and I just didn't realize it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Interesting. That makes sense because I know I've done the Fog Rift Catacombs.
What's
actually,
weird is that
so
I
makes
have been
sense.
to the ruins. How did I? Huh.
Because it just looks like a lake. But if you're not
Well,
looking too closely, like you don't notice that it's a cave that
the
you can just walk
ruins,
straight
the
through.
ruins, and that zone don't actually connect, which is
Okay.
how that's
Okay.
how they mess you up. Because I got that map
Yeah.
before ever going to the ruins, and so what was funny was last night I finally got to the ruins, and I'm exploring around, and I keep finding messages on the ground where people are like, "Where map?" and then doing like the emote where they're
Oh.
like shaking their arms at the sky.
Yeah, that's what you mean. The ruins is in the because that spot is
Yeah.
elevated way high up in the air, and the map
Yeah.
is down way below. Yeah, you can't actually get down there from the
The
ruins.
one layer of map I think was a poor choice.
Yeah, because it's called Rau Ancient Ruins is the name of the zone. And that's one of the names of the sites of grace as well. Um, yeah, yeah, pretty very smart design where the map fragments are. Much smarter than I think how it was in the base game, where it was just like just
Yeah,
ride
they're
on.
just there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here you go.
On
Yeah,
the road. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
They
crazy.
bait
I
you a
do
few
wish there was
times, though.
another layer of map though.
Yeah.
Like the base game having an underground map. I think this game definitely needed that too.
I think
Yeah.
I'm all right on that. I don't know. I think it's novel, and I like the idea.
I just get confused once I'm down there, literally where I am, because there's no map for it. And it's like, I'm sorry that I'm spoiled that I have a map literally anywhere else in the game other than the underground of the DLC. But when I'm literally down there trying to explore and see where the fuck I'm trying to go, it's kind of annoying.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like adding in a whole other ass fucking area. Like you
No,
wanted,
no,
like,
no,
a
no.
whole-
No,
Yeah.
I just feel like it's weird. There's only one layer of the map,
Yeah.
like that you look at. Yeah,
Yeah. The way
deal,
they
though, just kind of strange. Anyway, sorry.
I think a big weakness of the game and of the DLC is how the map is laid out, and the way they handle icons and like points of interest. Like they give you the marker system, which is fine, but they should more clearly indicate when you've cleared out an area. I think if they're gonna make a game this huge and this open, they may as well just tell you if you've gotten all the items somewhere or something. You know what I mean? Put a little check next to the icon on your map or something like that. At that way, at least it narrows down for you where you need to go. And I understand that ruins some of the magic of just finding random shit, but like once I've left a catacomb, unless I know something is still there that I missed, I'm not going back. Like I don't know. I mean, I'd rather know if I've done everything for sure than have to wonder for the rest of my fucking life.
With how interconnected this map is, I found myself putting a lot of brain power into attempting to remember, like, okay,
Yeah, dude.
I need to do the thing that is on my mind at this moment, and I will remember to come back to that later. That doesn't really happen maybe 50% of the time.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true.
But yeah, like there's like with how interconnected everything is and how many random ass pathways that come up, like I really did try my fucking hardest trying to remember all the shit that I need to go back and then keep looking for.
You are 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I was seeing you use markers, I was like, oh fuck, I should have been doing that this whole fucking time. Because like I know that there's a few spots that I just straight up missed because I forgot, not because I didn't see it.
I use markers for just the dungeons that I've done. That way I know for sure. Because sometimes I'll go into a dungeon and be like, I don't feel like doing this right now. Like I'll just get the site of grace and then leave again. And so I just need to know which ones I've done and which ones I haven't done.
I will say though that this is probably like in terms of just quality of aesthetic design, probably like the prettiest game I've seen. Like I think that it is fucking gorgeous. I don't know what they did.
Really
but
impressed.
all the areas are just like mind-blowingly like aesthetically keynote. It's so fucking gorgeous to look at. They look unique. Like I don't know.
And considering the base game, just to be honest, I basically only felt that maybe twice, like when I went underground for the first time, and then a few key moments with some good views that I don't even remember where exactly. But the whole time in the DLC, I'm feeling like fucking pogged out.
Yeah, because the palette for the base game is like yellow, orangish to white to red, and that's like as much as I can remember. It's just
Yeah, Yeah,
I mean, like the base game is nice looking. It's not
Yeah,
like,
it's fine. It's just it's something else in the DLC. It
dude,
really
yeah, I don't know
is.
who they had cooking, but that shit is so good. Holy fuck,
it is
dude.
really strong. It is really strong in this one. They've done a really good job at continuing the design language of the base game, but twisting it in ways that make you feel like you've been there before, but it's a little unusual. Like everywhere I go in this game, I'm like constantly seeing stuff that I'm like, is this just the Shadowlands version of the same exact zone from the first game? You know what I mean? Or from the base game? Like I'll go somewhere and I'll be like, it feels in some ways like they're mirror worlds of each other, right? Which I mean, maybe like what
I
a
think
little
it's
bit of
supposed
what
to kind of be that way.
yeah, they're like playing
Almost
into
like-
that in the lore a bit, but it's interesting because you'll like Rabbit's Rise, right? Um, it's like the same exact layout as Ronnie's Rise in the base game, and I'm like, is this just a Bizarro world version of, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, lore wise, it would make sense considering it's right next to Ymir's church, and Ymir's all about like he tells you a fuck ton of shit about Ronnie's lore too.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention,
Yeah,
then
yeah, he does.
He'll drop some fucking knowledge on you. But
Yeah.
yeah. I think they really were attempting to do the whole like almost like Legend of Zelda esque like Shadow World is a mirror, but in a darker way. Because I think the only thing we really know is that like it exists in the shadow of the Erdtree. So whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean.
Yeah.
And we know that this is where America's from. Technically, everyone outside of the lands between is a Newman. So it all lines up in the sense of like it just being like a mirrored world, essentially.
So lore wise, what are we thinking? Well, you know everything kind of, Merced. I mean, you've seen the whole thing. Where are you landing right now, Crossley, in terms of
This has
your
been way
feelings?
more satisfying as a video game than as the lore side of things, for sure. I'm like way more impressed that they fucking one up themselves, and I'm pretty disappointed, I guess, with things I was interested in seeing more of. I haven't really gotten.
Like what?
Melina specifically is a character I've always been interested in. And then even the Mikola and Mesmer stuff has been pretty light compared to what I was thinking based off of the marketing. Mesmer definitely has his own little area and some dialogue, but other than that, it's just like, okay, a bunch of characters got fucking burned by Mesmer, and there's really not that much else to it. And then I guess what I've liked the most is like the little squad of like Mikola's followers that kind of have their own little things going.
Yeah.
That was been a nice little surprise. I liked them. And then the side quest for Ymir was really cool, but those aren't really like things that were answering anything for me in terms of like from the base game. It's been fine. I'm interested to see what the final boss is and if there's going to be any cool lore stuff there. But even like the Saint Trina stuff, which was cool, I was like, okay. I was kind of hoping to get to meet this person or something, not like fucking drink its flower juices and all this stuff. But I don't know.
Well,
It's been fine.
The thing that really got me about that,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know the full implications of the whole Saint Trina thing, but you do encounter a lot of Saint Trina stuff in the base game that feels pretty on its own. Like there's not a lot of connections to Saint Trina in the base game. Then you get here and you get to the cross there, and the cross is just like, this is where I discard my love. And then you go to the bottom of the fucking hole and Saint Trina's down there, and I mean it's pretty clear that Mikola threw her down there and left her there. And it's pretty tragic, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I need to finish everything and then like look into the nitty-gritty details, but pre-DLC, I mean, it was pretty heavily implied that Saint Trina and Mikola are like the same person to some capacity. And Saint Trina is like some thing that came about while Mikola was asleep at some point, whether that's like post the Moog related things or not, or is a being that exists while Mikola is sleeping at any given moment. It's kind of unclear, but there seem to be the same person, and I haven't really gotten any thing that like satisfied that knowledge any further. I did like the Saint Trina stuff, but even that being said, I wanted like more. It's like, okay, I went down there, did those interactions, and now it's done. Like, what? That's it? All that Saint Trina like fucking or clues like in the base game, and then showing her in the fucking trailers, which I don't even know if you realize they did that, but you know, they market her in the trailers.
In the trailer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, this is it. I interact with a plant and fucking sleep. If you, I don't know. I'm not that impressed with the lore stuff yet. I'll be real, but I'm not like that worried about it either because the fucking game has been so good. It's just
I don't know if this is the case yet, but I'm getting, the more we get into this and the discarding of stuff and like the getting rid of extraneous parts of Miquella, I'm kind of leaning in the direction that Miquella is sort of a Griffith-esque figure.
Yes. Same.
That's kind of where my head's at, where it's like, you know, this is a person who is sacrificing everything for something else, right? Because what Saint Trina talks about is exactly right. Yeah, do not let Miquella ascend.
Huge Griffith vibes. I agree 100%. And that's why I say I'm interested to see what is at the end and where it all kind of goes, and then look into a bunch of like lore details that I haven't yet because I'm just trying to take this all in blind as much as I can. Yeah. So, but just like at surface value, like what's been presented to me through boss cutscenes or like NPC dialogues, I've been like kind of like, this is whatever. I'm not super fucking blown away. Yeah. The marketing was really good, that's for sure. So they fucking had me interested from trailers and shit. But yeah.
It is pretty funny how Mesmer's whole role is literally just he's a pouting sad boy because his mommy went away. And I guess he doesn't know what happened. I guess he doesn't know what happened to her. I mean, I have no idea. I mean,
I'm not really sure.
Doesn't seem like he does. It seems like he feels burned that she's gone and he has no idea where she is. But other than that, I mean, it's okay.
And the absolute like lack of Melina fucking blows my mind. I just don't understand like what.
Yeah,
I just literally the one that starts you on your journey and literally helps you complete it at the fucking thing of the giants, and in one of the endings threatens to kill you.
Yeah, I wonder if Melina stuff will be kind of somewhat partially answered just by what's in here without directly referencing her. Because, like, obviously Mesmer, another M name, and another person who has an eye closed, right? Yep. Like, there's things like that. So, I mean, there's definitely kind of more, it fills in some more gaps for Melina, but yeah, it's crazy that no one's even mentioned her by name or she hasn't appeared at all.
Fuck yeah. Like,
I kept thinking when I was playing through it, I was like, if you were at this point in the game, actually Merced would know because you hadn't sacrificed her yet at that point in your playthrough, right?
Yeah, no. It was,
Does she pop up at all?
No.
Nope.
There's no
dialogue or anything?
I don't think they even mention her.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Like, really.
That's crazy.
She doesn't really like exist. So like if she is in connection with any of these characters, they don't act like it.
I think they imply that she's related to Mesmer.
Melina?
It's heavily implied to be a daughter of America throughout a lot of things in the base.
So I think by having Mesmer directly state that he's obviously a son of America.
Right.
I mean, then it becomes even more clear that Melina and Mesmer are siblings on some level.
They have to be, yeah. I mean, in theory, but they have to be based off of the implication. Like, FromSoft doesn't just imply that for it to be not true, honestly. Like, it's clear that she is one of Melina's kid or one of America's kids, and same with Mesmer. Like, it's obvious. So it's just, I don't know.
Why is she in the form that she is in that game? Like, ghostly,
and she literally gives you Torrent.
Yeah,
Torrent's former master is Miquella. Like, there's just so many things. Why isn't she a part of the? I don't know. Maybe she is. Maybe she's the fucking final boss. And I'm about to eat my words. I don't know. But
yeah.
At the very least, in Dark Souls 3, they do things in the Ring City that are based off of the ending you pick, and I think that was really, really cool. It's very subtle and small things. It's not like it changes a boss fight or anything like that. Sure. But you do get unique dialogues, and I think maybe even a unique NPC invasion. And the fact that they, I think, didn't even do that for the ending you can pick where she will threaten to come after you and kill you, the Frenzied Flame ending. If they don't even follow up that with some sort of unique dialogue from an NPC or her invading and trying to kill you, at the very least, then I'm so fucking mad. Fuck them. Yeah. Stupid ass bitches. Bad game.
Yeah.
Not actually, but you know. Yeah. I am disappointed.
It is really interesting. I mean, it's you kind of think in a lot of ways this is obviously where they would have to go with it, right? Like it feels like Melina has the most questions around her at the end of the base game, and so far we've gotten the least hard answers about her whole deal. Yeah, there hasn't really been a lot of Frenzied Flame stuff for me either.
Which is fine. I realistically, I understand that they don't like touch on what ending you pick if you happen to beat the game when you go there. Like,
sure,
I get that.
Yeah.
But just the Melina part specifically, when they have done that in previous DLCs, is like going to bug me probably forever.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I did the Ronnie ending. I haven't gotten any of the other endings. Those are like the only achievements that I'm missing. But I think, even just not having the Frenzied Flame really play a role so far, or there's like remnants of rot in there. Like I'm in the parts of the ruins where you run into the rot soldiers. And then did you guys get on the other side of the rot soldiers? And then there's like that weird invisible bridge that leads to a stone tablet. Did you guys do that?
I don't think I've seen that.
I saw it. Yeah.
Weird. And then I walked up to the stone tablet and I happened to have a sword in my inventory. Jennifer watched this and she was like, "What's happening here?" I was like, "I have no idea." But there's a sword in my inventory that reacted to the stone tablet and it transformed that sword into another weapon.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
I have no idea about any of that.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I can't use that sword, so it's basically worthless to me. But it was cool that it happened. It was like a faith weapon or something. But I was just like, okay, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, there's actually another tablet that does the same thing to that same sword, and you can swap it at will.
At will, like you have to go to each tablet again and do it, or you?
Oh, is it the Sword of Light and Darkness?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I see. I've heard the murmurs of these. I have not seen them or anything. Okay,
I knew nothing about
it. There's another tablet that you can find that turns it into the Sword of Darkness, and if you want, you can just swap them. Just go to the other tablet. You can swap it out at will.
Well, the tablet. I mean, the light tablet is not convenient to get to, so it's pretty funny that they would do it that way. I thought you meant switch it on the fly, like once you have the weapon equipped.
No.
That sucks because the tablet of light is not easy to get to. I mean, it's like behind. I mean, it's not hard either, but it's not like there's a site of grace right next to it or something.
Was the weapon a boss weapon?
No idea. I don't even know where I got it from.
Oh, okay. So probably not.
I just had it in my inventory and I was like, I think.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Merced. I think it came from one of the forges.
I actually don't remember where it came from. I want to say it comes from some aspect of Ymir's quest line. But I don't know exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? No, why?
That's right.
I don't think that would be the case either. Logically, it doesn't. Or
I could be wrong. That's just from my memory. That's what I remember it being connected to.
Fucking weird. Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna type it in while I. What? Okay. Let's before we wrap up here. What equipment are you guys running? Merced, you go first since you finished the game, but what were you running through it?
Bloodhound Fang.
Bloodhound Fang?
Yes.
What were your stats?
Bloodhound Fang's quality, so it was I think it was 80, it was like 80 dex, probably 53 strength, I think, with 60 I think I ended with like 65 vigor because I was only getting like 1 DPS change at that point and a little bit of endurance. Some faith for the incantation, the blood flame incantation.
I see. Okay. Crossley, what are you running?
I went in doing a dex build. I think I was similar to Merced. I was actually doing a Melania cosplay and using her armor and weapon and going around doing that for a while. Nice. And then I forget what made me want to change builds. I think I just wanted to try out that ancient meteor or greatsword really badly. And I changed my stats around to where I could kind of use whatever I wanted, basically. And yeah, I started using that for a majority of the fucking playthrough. I think I just recently swapped to Rolana's weapons and sort of retooled my stats to kind of benefit that the most. But But yeah, Rolana's weapons are like insanely satisfying. Those are some of my new favorite weapons, period. The fucking move set for that is just like so cool and fun and satisfying. And then both the weapon arts are like actually insane. I don't know what they were thinking, but they're really strong. Yeah,
Have you did either of you change equipment after you got any new stuff in the DLC?
I mean, if you count the dragon sword, I tried out the dragon sword.
Like were you sticking primarily with the same stuff like once you got it, or were you constantly switching? Is what I mean.
No, I stuck with the same shit the whole way through.
Yeah, no, I actually did. I tried the hand to hand combat. I fucking maxed it out and tried that weapon, and it was a good time. I actually played it for a decent little chunk there before
Okay.
it got harder. But yeah, the fucking like hand to hand combat weapon is so fucking cool. I actually really really like it.
Would you ever do like a full playthrough that way, or you think it's not enough there?
I actually like it a lot. If there's a good like better stat version of it, because it kind of falls off compared to a lot of weapons, or one that comes with a really unique weapon art, I think I would be down.
Did you get the bear paw one?
Is that a hand to hand?
It's a hand to hand, and then you turn its weapon art is like turning into a bear kind of thing, I guess.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
It's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
No, I've only found 2 hand to hands, and neither of them do that.
I think those are the only.
The beast claws, which I haven't tried yet, but I'm interested.
Did you duel the guy at the Morth Ruins, Crossley?
Yeah, I beat his ass.
Okay, yeah. Did you have a note in front of him telling you what to do? Because some player had left a hint for me, and that was the only way I figured it out.
No, he went and talked to me, so I started trying a few gestures that were new. And the one, I don't even remember where I found it, but the one where you are like, may the best one win. Yeah, that triggered the thing. Yeah.
There was a note, like a note in front of him that said gesture or emote or something, and then he was doing that one, and I went through all the ones I had and was like, oh, okay.
Did you read the message he left after you beat him?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I was like, yeah, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I guess maybe you see him again. I don't know.
I haven't, but
I haven't either.
I just enjoyed that interaction.
Yeah, I'm obviously Ruin's Greatsword is my primary. I use the dragon when I need something a little bit faster, but still a greatsword because that's my build. I use the dragon one, the dragon katana. That one's pretty good. It does a lot of damage. I feel like the bleed buildup is not as much as I was hoping for, but it's not bad. Yeah. What else?
I think they need to fix their shit, and the game needs to run better.
Yeah, the game does not run well.
What the fuck is happening?
That's true. It actually, I think
happening?
It might be worse than the base game. There's a lot of hitching.
Why? Wow. And it's like mainly it's in key locations too. It's not even like you would be able to figure out what the fuck is going on. Because like if you go into the ruins, it'll hitch for like 2 seconds every like 30 seconds.
You know,
that's not okay whenever you're in the middle of a boss fight.
FromSoft needs to untether their engine from frame rate. In my opinion.
Apparently they didn't even have to cap it at 60 because it's not a problem anymore for Elden Ring.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I don't know why they would cap it at 60 if that is true. But yeah, I'm pretty tired because like at 60, if you lose 3 frames, you feel it. If you're at 140 and you lose 3 frames, you're like, all right. You know,
yeah,
so
you can get there are mods that unlock the frame rate, and there's no it's not to the detriment of the game at all.
Yeah, so. But I mean, I'm not modding. I've never modded any of these games, and I don't think I will. I mean, I get why people do it, but it's just like whatever. I mean, I'd rather them. Actually, that's not true. The original PC launch of Dark Souls 1, Prepare to Die edition required. I mean, I remember playing it no mods at launch and just being like, "This is unbelievably terrible," but it's a great game, you know. But yeah, I mean, they definitely need to hire someone who gives a shit about PC ports and performance because I mean, Elden Ring is, I guess, the best one. I don't know. Maybe even Dark Souls 3 was better.
It's
I think
Dark Souls 3.
3.
It's Dark Souls
Yeah.
3.
I don't remember having problems because I played through Dark Souls 3 like a couple of years ago.
I guess I remember having a few problems with Sekiro, but nothing super terrible.
No, Sekiro's perfect. There's literally nothing wrong with Sekiro's performance.
I seem to remember some hitching in that game as well, but not as bad as here.
Yeah, if there was, then it wasn't to the point where like I was actively getting angry at the game, because I was actually like losing, I was losing boss runs because it would hitch, and then I would be like, "Are you okay? That's cool.
I remember
you can't."
When Sekiro came out. I think the PC port came later, right?
No,
or no? Was it day and date? I don't know why, but I got it on console to begin with, which was weird because it was the first FromSoft game I had ever decided to do that. But I got it on PS4, I think, and I remember the frame rate being locked at 30 and just being like, they can't do this.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
They can't fucking do this. Come on.
Like, that's insane.
Anyway.
But otherwise, that game is fantastic. That game is great. It's probably
that game,
one of the greatest Souls games that they've ever made.
Might be
phenomenal.
The worst.
You know how big that game is?
I'm trying to think
of how big that game is.
I'm trying to think of a worse video game that I've ever played than Second.
You know how big that game is?
Dark Souls 1, Chandler.
Oh, come on. Okay, it goes Demon Souls is the best. Then Bloodborne. Then Dark Souls 1. Then Elden Ring. Then Dark Souls 2. Then 3. And then
Sekiro. You were a Dark
Sekiro.
Souls 2 proponent.
Sekiro doesn't even make a mention on the list.
Have you beaten Sekiro?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Just let it put that on the record. Write that down.
I'm not gonna do that. I mean, it's fine. I just, the style of game that Sekiro is, I don't enjoy it. But it is a good game. I see that it's a good game. I think the beginning of Sekiro is so painful to play through a second time. Like all the snake stuff and all the stealth and everything. Like I want to play that game again. Like I want to get through it. But I won't go through the beginning again because I don't think that the way they design those early parts is very fun.
I think the beginning of the game is probably like not that fun. Because you have to get like a few abilities and then it gets like a lot better.
Okay. What?
I was just gonna say that game is only 16 gigabytes, by the way.
How big is Elden Ring?
I don't know, like 50.
That's a lot more than I was thinking, actually. But that's fair. I mean, it's a big fucking game.
And not only that, but
ray tracing, bro.
Sekiro only required one patch,
Mr. Tracing,
and they never touched it again. That's perfection.
I think
required, and they know it. They know it. They knew that it was perfection. They only had to patch it one time, and that was it.
You know why they never patched it again? Because
it was perfect just the way that it is.
Because there is zero replayability in that game. There's no reason for any. There's no reason for anyone.
What a patently false statement.
What is the reason to play that game again?
There are multiple endings.
You have, okay, sure, I guess, but there's no build variety. You have one build. Here's the build.
Because it's perfect. You don't need anything else.
I mean, I would like something else. Thank you.
Yeah. Same.
Sorry.
That's just that feels so silly to me.
Sorry.
Even if there's not different build variety, different play.
Yeah, different play styles.
Would be nice than the parry poise stuff. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this again. Wow. Got him.
I mean, you tackle the bosses in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to oversimplify it. So I mean, you are right. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really just that. Yeah.
Any last thoughts on the DLC?
Can't wait to finish it.
Pretty damn good. I'm glad they learned. They're learning.
Mm-hmm.
They listened to all my emails that I sent over the past 2 years.
Who did you
And they said,
address them
God
to?
damn it, this man is right.
Who'd you?
Mr. From.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Software from Software himself.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Software. Yeah.
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 Yeah. What did he reply or no? This is his reply.
It's Mr. From.
No, this is his. Yeah, he was listening to me this whole time. This is how I know
this
that he
was his
listening to
reply.
me.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I agree. I think it's excellent. I'm excited to get back into it and see it through. I think I feel like I'm near the end, but who knows? I know that there's still one piece of the map that I'm missing. So there's definitely some more to be done, but I'm excited to see what else there is. I did look up that sword, by the way. It's the stone sheathed sword. So if you find the stone sheathed sword, it turns out there's actually 3 places you can find it, and 2 of those places are also the place you can transform it. So it's pretty interesting. I need to look more into that, but it's pretty cool. I think all of the weapons that they've introduced in the DLC seem cool as hell. And it makes me wish that I was one of those people who would constantly change their build, because I can't do it. I refuse to do it. I haven't even done it once, and I don't think I will do it at all. So maybe
I enjoy changing my build, me personally. But yeah,
maybe it'll make me play through the game again. Who knows?
Yeah,
I need to do like a arcane build, I think. But
very strong.
All right, guys. Thanks for chatting. It's pretty fitting that our big episode 50 would be on Elden Ring again. We need there needs to be a Souls game release every 50 episodes is basically how I'm feeling at this point. So, at the next 50, Dark Souls 4 will be out, or Bloodborne 2, one of the two. And no, what do you guys think is next? What are they going to work on now that Elden Ring is
I think
done?
It's going to be a new IP.
They're not doing any more DLC, they've said, for Elden Ring. So do they do Elden Ring 2, or do they move on to something totally different?
Because they essentially said that they want to take what they've learned in terms of the combat system of Sekiro, and they want to apply that to the next game. So I'm assuming that means it's not going to be Sekiro 2, of course, because they said they're going to learn from that. So I think it's just going to be a new IP, because anything that's even like remotely like a Sekiro system is not going to work for Dark Souls, I don't think.
Does a Bloodborne remake ever come out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of time.
Is that the only way we ever get Bloodborne PC or patched to PS5, or will they do that sometime soon-ish?
I think a remake will be that. Yeah, I don't think we'll get like the current Bloodborne ported. I think at that point they would just, at the very least, do like a up-resed, up frame-rated remaster or whatever they want to call it, I guess. But at the very least, that, right? Up-resed, up the frame rate. I mean, that would be a lot of work already, but I don't think we'll get like a Bloodborne with higher quality textures like Demon Souls or anything. That would be fucking sick, but I don't think that'll happen. I think we would get the bare minimum, which is a Bloodborne that functions as it should on modern hardware. But if we got like the Demon Souls re-release of Bloodborne, I'd fucking coom. That would be ideal. I would take that.
Is the next game open world or no?
I feel like Miyazaki kind of said he wants to scale back down.
Okay. Maybe semi-open world, big zones.
Yeah, I think that's probably the vibe. I mean, even Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro kind of push like open area design with like multiple avenues of engaging with the content. So I think somewhere in between those games and Elden Ring, there's not full blown fucking big open map like Elden Ring, and
Yeah.
maybe not as condensed as those games either. Hard to say though.
Okay, you heard it here first. Um, appreciate you guys chatting. Appreciate everybody for listening. Yeah, this was a fun one. I'm excited. The next time we talk, we'll probably cap this off. We don't need to talk about the Nintendo Direct because nothing happened.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't
a-
watch it actually.
I'm a Nintendo hater. They did not
They're
announce the
releasing the
Switch
same
2.
5 games that they've been re-releasing for 20 years.
The new
Yeah.
Mario Party
Spoiler.
actually looks fun.
I think people would probably say the same thing about Souls games that you just said, Merced. But
That's
yes,
perfectly okay. Those are good games.
Yeah, true.
The Zelda game where you play as Zelda does look kind of fun, but
Yeah.
but I will not play it. So who am I kidding?
No. Yeah.
All right, guys. Peace.
Goodbye.